In the beginning, there was Tolkien, and he looked upon Middle Earth and said, "Let there be elves and forests, and dwarves and mountains, and every other author after him said, let him cook, so I don't have to. If I see one more fantasy world where elves are allergic to sunlight, dwarves are have Scottish accents, and humans are just filler plot, I'm gonna summon a dragon and burn down the next Tolkien clone to the ground." Welcome to Fantasy 101, where we're going to talk about why your favorite genre is stuck in a medieval group project that never ends. Yeah, I know we all love swords, magic, and moral ambiguity, but let's be honest. Fantasy's been recycling harder than your neighborhood eco war on Earth Day. Yeah, you know that Karen down the street? The same chosen one? The same Dark Lord? The same tavern full of people pretending to be mysterious while hiding obvious trauma. Yeah, the prophecy child, forgotten king, ancient evil that returns after 1,000 years. It's like every author graduated from Hogwarts School of Creative Plagiarism. And don't get me wrong, Tolkien was a genius. But imagine if every sci fi writer tried to remake Star Wars scene for scene. Oh, wait, they do that too. But we'll get that to another day. So, every writer, in some degree, has copied Tolkien. And here's why everyone did. One, he defined Western myth culture. His linguistics gave fantasy credibility, and publishers realized it sold. Publishers saw Lord of the Rings print money and went. Publishers saw Lord of the Rings print money and went, great, do that again. So now every pitch meeting sounds like it's like Tolkien, but with trauma. The Witcher, sexy Tolkien. The Wheel of Time, excessively long Tolkien. Rings of Power, literally Tolkien fanfic with Jeff Bezos money. Shadow and Bone, Tolkien, but make it emo. It's like every studio said, we want Game of Thrones, but slightly worse and with elves. Now, yes, I know Tolkien didn't write Game of Thrones. Don't get me wrong, it's true. See, creators aren't lazy, they're scared. Scared of bombing, scared of Reddit, scared of their own comment section. Every idea dies in a meeting labeled synergy. When you build by committee, you don't get an art, you get a brand consistency. The truth is, we blame studios, but we're complacent. We say we want original ideas until someone actually makes one. Then Twitter goes, why doesn't it feel like Game of Thrones? Arcane, praised but too weird. Elden Ring, people beg for quest markers. You can't ask for mystery and then complain when you actually get lost. We've turned fantasy into fast food, safe, predictable, and served with a side of nostalgia fries. Now, skipping ahead a little to around when Game of Thrones started coming out. I know it's different than what Tolkien made, but it's around the same. After Game of Thrones blew up, every network decided gritty violence and trauma were the new elves and dragons. The Witcher, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, House of Dragon, Shadow and Bone, they look, sound, and feel the same. Same muddy lighting, same British accents, same moral gray dude who doesn't bathe. This isn't a ripoff, they say, while standing in front of the exact same castle set rented from the BBC. Everything's gray now. The sky, the armor, the morality. Fantasy used to be colorful, literal rainbows of imagination. But now it looks like a mudslide with dialogue. At some point, dark and mature became code for please take me seriously. I promise I'm not stupid. Now, let's talk about us, the audience. We say we want originality, but we panic when we don't recognize the menu. When Netflix released Bright, urban fantasy with orcs and cop drama, people lost their minds. Was it perfect? Definitely not. But at least it was different. And what did we do? We buried it under memes and moved on to watch another medieval soap opera. Hi, I'm a fantasy fan, and I'm addicted to the same story told 12 different ways. Step one is admitting you have a Tolkien dependency. We reward sameness because it's comfortable. We mock new ideas because they threaten our nostalgia. All right, rant over. Deep breath. Let's fix this genre before it collapses under the weight of its own nostalgia. Because fantasy isn't dead. It's just stuck in medieval group chat arguing about who copied Tolkien's homework. Ask what people believe, not what race they are. Everyone starts world building like they're making a D&D starter pack. Elves equals forest, dwarves, mines, humans, bland vanilla ice cream. But real cultures aren't shaped by race. They're shaped by needs. What keeps them alive? Is it the soil? Is it the water? Is it the weather? The gods? The trade routes? The gossip? What determines who they become? You want authenticity? Don't ask what do elves eat. Ask why does food matter to them? Maybe their crops only grow under moonlight. Maybe they ferment sap that lets them talk to trees. Suddenly, your elves aren't just Legolas with Wi-Fi. There's a civilization with a heartbeat. Build languages with a bias, art with meaning, rituals that serve a purpose, a world that believes itself feels real, even if it's impossible. And for the love of dragons, stop naming every kingdom the something realm. That's not world building, it's fantasy mad libs. Making elves evil isn't clever, it's a Tumblr post with lighting filters. Inverting tropes for shock value isn't original, it's cosplay with an attitude problem. True subversion means asking why something exists, then twisting it logically. Elves are graceful and ageless. Cool, what happens when immortality causes population collapse? Maybe if elf society bans childbirth, turning every baby into political scandal, boom. You've just done more creative work than half the fantasy shows on Netflix. Or take dwarves. Everyone makes them minors. Fine. But what if they strip mine their homeworld centuries ago? Now they live in airships, trading ores like sky pirates. They're still dwarves, but now they have debt, fuel shortages, and steampunk hangovers. Subversion should add depth, not just edge. Stop inverting tropes like a moody teenager flipping tables for attention. Do it because it says something new about humanity, not because you're bored. Forget saving the world. Save a friend, a child, a village, a dog, something that actually makes us feel. We connect to people, not prophecies. The best fantasy moments aren't about cosmic stakes. They're about human ones. Frodo didn't carry the ring because of destiny. He did it because someone had to. You know what makes audiences cry? Not a chosen one winning a battle. It's when they lose something they love and still choose to fight anyway. Your story doesn't need to shout, the fate of the realm hangs in the balance. Sometimes the most powerful thing is, if I don't protect her, nobody. Make your characters flawed, scared, hilarious, and human. Give them mortgages, hangovers, weird pets. Give them ordinary problems and extraordinary worlds. And suddenly their magic hits harder. World's a neat contradiction. Every time I see a fantasy religion where everyone's chill and the gods always show up on time, I die a little inside. Make your religions hypocritical, make your heroes wrong, make your maps incomplete. Real worlds are messy. History isn't a timeline, it's a food fight written by winners. Why should your fantasy be any cleaner? Let kingdoms misremember their origins. Let myths conflict. Let scholars argue over what the gods actually said. That's how real belief systems evolve through confusion and pride. Now, don't get me started on that. Stop labeling every desert the waste. Put put in roads that don't make sense, borders that were drawn in blood, names that have changed 5 times because kings can't stop renaming things after themselves. A perfect world isn't boring because it leaves nothing for the imagination to fill. Imperfections invite curiosity, and curiosity keeps readers alive inside your story. You don't have to explain everything. Mystery is oxygen. Writers today over-explain like they're afraid Reddit will call them inconsistent. Actually, the mana flows from the seventh crystal of the... Buddy, stop. No one cares. You don't need a 12-page appendix about your world's currency exchange rate. You need one sentence that feels true. Let readers wonder. Let questions linger. Magic is only magic when you don't fully understand it. Once you turn it into chemistry class, it stops being wonder and starts being homework. Fantasy isn't escapism, it's reflection. Your world should exaggerate reality, not ignore it. If your empire runs on slave labor, what happens when religion sparks? If your heroes ride dragons, who cleans up the dragon? If magic cures disease, who controls access to it? These aren't plot holes, they're plot opportunities. Good fantasy takes real problems, corruption, inequality, grief, and dresses them in metaphor. Bad fantasies hide from them under shiny armor. Worlds evolve, characters change. If your story ends exactly where it started, it's just expensive cosplay. Let revolutions fail. Let peace cost something. Show that victory doesn't fix everything. It just starts the next argument. Because that's what keeps fantasy honest. The idea that even in worlds of magic and prophecy, progress still hurts. So yeah, build cultures, not clones. Subvert with purpose. Keep it personal. Let your worlds be messy. Characters imperfect. Your gods unreliable. Your maps wrong. That's how you make fantasy breathe again. The genre doesn't need another hero with a sword. It needs a world worth saving. And an audience that believes it could exist. Now go write something wild, something ugly, something alive. Because if you don't, the next epic fantasy original on Netflix is just going to be Game of Thrones, but with Wi Fi. Stay creative, stay chaotic, and for Love Dragons, write something new.